The Church of Blood. Daniel tossed and turned in his bed, drenched in sweat. His dreams were filled with horrors beyond understanding. He stood inside the church, watching the altar burn with black flames. The walls wept blood, thick and slow, staining the stone floor. Statues of saints twisted and melted, their faces stretching into silent screams. A shadow loomed over him, Father Matthias. His mouth stretched unnaturally wide, his voice a chorus of whispers.
You belong to us now.
Daniel woke with a gasp, his body shaking. The room was dark, the only sound his own ragged breathing. But something was wrong. The whisper from his dream hadn't faded. It was real. A shadow moved in the corner of the room. Daniel scrambled for his flashlight and shone it toward the darkness. Nothing. But the whisper remained. Run, it sighed. Try to leave. Daniel didn't need to be told twice. He grabbed his bag and rushed out of the inn. A town that won't let go. The fog outside was thicker than before, curling around the buildings like living tendrils. Daniel didn't care. He ran toward the main road, his only thought, escape. The town passed in a blur. Houses stood silent, their windows dark and lifeless. No one was outside. No one stopped him. His car was still where he left it. He yanked open the door, threw his bag inside, and turned the key. The engine roared to life. Relief flooded through him. He slammed the gas pedal. The tires screeched against the cobblestone road as he sped away from Black Hollow. But after 10 minutes of driving, something was wrong. The fog had thickened, blinding him. The road stretched endlessly, the same old trees passing by again and again. Another 10 minutes. His hands gripped the wheel tighter. The same road, the same trees, the same town. His breath caught. He was back at the inn. Daniel's heart pounded. He had driven in a straight line. He hadn't turned around. The town wouldn't let him leave. He tried again and again. No matter which way he went, he always returned to the same place. Trapped. A figure stepped out of the fog. Father Matthias. He stood in the middle of the road, his black robes untouched by the wind. His eyes, dark, endless voids, held no emotion. Daniel slammed the brakes, the car skidding to a stop just inches from the priest. Matthias didn't flinch. Slowly he stepped forward. Daniel's fingers trembled over the gear shift, but his body refused to move. Matthias placed a hand on the hood of the car, his gaze piercing. You cannot escape, Daniel, he said. His voice was calm, patient. You were chosen the moment you stepped into my church. Daniel forced himself to breathe. What are you? A smile stretched across the priest's lips, too wide, too unnatural. I am merely a servant.
Of what?
The priest tilted his head. Of something older than this town, older than you can comprehend. Daniel's pulse hammered. Why me? You seek truth, the priest said, and the truth is, he leaned closer, you are the final piece. Daniel's skin went cold. Final piece of what? Matthias straightened. The ritual. Marked for death. The priest stepped away from the car. Daniel didn't wait. He threw the car into reverse, tires screeching as he backed away. He turned sharply and sped down another road, heart pounding. The moment he turned the corner, he was back at the inn. No escape. The streets were no longer empty. The townspeople stood outside their houses watching. Their eyes were hollow, their faces slack. Daniel stepped out of the car slowly, breathing hard. What is this? Father Matthias walked toward him. The ritual must be completed, he said. Daniel shook his head. No, I'm not part of this. Matthias smiled. You are now. A sharp pain shot through Daniel's chest. He gasped, clutching at his shirt. His skin burned as if something was being carved into it. He looked down. A symbol. It glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. The same symbols he had seen in the priest's underground chamber. His body had been marked. Daniel staggered back, panic rising. No, it is done, Matthias said. Tonight at midnight you will complete the offering. The townspeople stepped forward. Daniel turned to run. Hands grabbed him. He struggled, but there were too many. Their grips were cold, their faces empty. Matthias watched, expression unreadable. Take him to the church. Daniel fought, kicked, screamed. But there was no escaping Black Hollow. And as the church bells rang in the distance, marking the hour before midnight, Daniel knew he was going to die. The final ritual, the town was silent, except for the distant sound of church bells ringing through the fog. Midnight was approaching. Daniel sat on the cold wooden floor of an abandoned house, hands still trembling from his failed escape. The mark on his chest burned, pulsing like a second heartbeat. He was going to die. A faint creak broke the silence. Daniel's head snapped up. A shadow moved near the doorway. Martha stepped inside, her wrinkled face lined with urgency. She clutched a small, cloth-wrapped bundle in her hands. "I don't have much time," she whispered. Daniel swallowed hard. "They're going to kill me." She nodded. "Yes, but we can stop them." Daniel frowned. "We?" Martha took a deep breath. "I have a way to end this." She unwrapped the bundle, revealing a rusted dagger with strange symbols carved into its blade. Daniel stared at it. "What is that?" "A relic," she said, "blessed long ago. It's the only thing that can destroy him." Daniel hesitated. "How do you know this?" Martha's expression darkened. "Because my mother tried to use it once. She failed." "I won't." Daniel's mind raced. "What do I do?" Martha looked toward the church, its spire looming in the distance. "We break in before the ritual is complete. You stop the priest, and when he's weak..." She placed the dagger in Daniel's hands. "You end him." Daniel tightened his grip around the weapon. He had no choice. The ritual begins. The church doors were wide open. Inside, the pews had been pushed aside, forming a large circular space. The altar was gone, replaced by a massive stone slab covered in dark stains. Candles flickered, casting eerie shadows along the walls. The townspeople stood in silent rows, their eyes empty, their bodies unnaturally still. At the center of it all stood Father Matthias. His black robes rippled, as if caught in a wind that didn't exist. His face was calm, but his eyes gleamed with something inhuman. Daniel and Martha crept through the side entrance, staying low. Matthias raised his hands, his voice echoing through the church. "The hour is upon us." Daniel's stomach twisted as the townspeople began chanting, their voices flat and lifeless. The air grew heavy, thick with something unnatural. The shadows on the walls moved, stretching like living things. Daniel gritted his teeth. It was now or never. He lunged forward. A monster revealed. "Stop the ritual!" Daniel shouted, rushing toward the priest. For the first time, Father Matthias smiled. His body convulsed. His skin darkened, cracking like burnt flesh. His mouth widened, stretching impossibly far, revealing rows of jagged teeth. His fingers elongated, turning into sharp claws. The air trembled as an unearthly howl tore from his throat. Daniel skidded to a stop. Matthias was no longer human. The creature before him loomed tall, its body shifting between shadow and flesh. Glowing symbols burned across its skin, the same symbols that had been marked on Daniel's chest. Daniel's breath came in short gasps. This wasn't a man. This was something else entirely. The priest's voice was layered, deep and twisted. "You cannot stop what has already begun." Dark tendrils shot from his body, slamming into the ground. The floor cracked, black smoke rising from the stone. The walls of the church wept blood, and the candles flickered wildly. Martha grabbed Daniel's arm. "Now, use the relic!" Daniel's grip tightened around the dagger. The creature snarled, sensing the weapon's presence. With a scream, Daniel lunged forward. The end of the ritual. The dagger sliced through the priest's shadowy form. A deafening shriek erupted from his mouth as dark smoke poured from the wound. The townspeople collapsed, their bodies shaking as if waking from a nightmare. The ground beneath them trembled. The walls of the church cracked, fire bursting from the altar. Matthias staggered back, his body flickering between forms. "You do not understand," he hissed. "I am eternal." Daniel raised the dagger again, ignoring the burning pain in his chest. Matthias lunged. Daniel drove the dagger straight into the creature's heart. The church exploded with light. A monstrous howl shook the air as the priest's body began to collapse inward, his form twisting and breaking. The symbols on his skin flared one last time before turning to ash. The shadows around them shrieked, dissolving into nothingness. Matthias let out one final guttural growl, then silence. His body crumbled to dust. The ritual was broken, not over yet. The church fell into eerie stillness. The fire faded, the unnatural air lifted. The townspeople groaned, confused and disoriented. Some wept, others looked around in fear. Daniel staggered back, breathing hard. He looked down at his chest. The mark was gone. Martha stepped forward, her eyes wide with disbelief. "It's over." Daniel nodded, but something felt wrong. A heavy presence still lingered in the air. Martha turned to him. "We should go before—" A whisper cut through the silence. Soft, chilling. "It's not over." Daniel's blood ran cold. The shadows in the corner of the church twitched. Something moved. Martha grabbed his arm. "Daniel!" The whisper came again, curling through the air like smoke. The town had been freed from its nightmare, but something still remained, and it was waiting.